Today on Sports Central, we go over our next team prediction of this offseason, and it's going to be over the USC Trojans, a team that returned to national contention in the 2022 season. This team went 11-3 overall. They were only a game away from making the college football playoff. If this team could have beaten Utah in the Pac-12 title game, I mean, this team had the mindset heading into that matchup. Yeah, if we win this game, we're in the playoff, but they couldn't quite get it done. This team barely missed out, but as we look forward to 2023, it would be no surprise if this team was once again making a run for the playoff. And whether or not this team makes the playoff in 2023 is we'll be talking about here today. We'll be analyzing this team and predict their schedule game by game in this video. Let's get started with a quick recap at 2022. This team was 11-3 overall. Started out the season 6-0. This team was off to a hot start in 2022. And you consider this team has been down in recent years. I mean, before 2022, the last time this team got above 8 wins was 2017. So it was 4 straight years of mediocre to bad seasons for USC. This team was 4-8 in 2021. And so the turnaround was for real for this team going into last season and for last season. I mean, 4 wins to 11 is very impressive, and USC was able to turn things around. Lincoln Riley and the transfers that he brought in between Caleb Williams and this offense. I mean, this offense, you could argue, was the best in the country last season. It was just the defense that really came back to bite in several games. But you consider, I mean, the first 6 games, this team really was impressive. They were dominant in week 1 from the start, beating Rice 66-14. Beat Oregon State on the road. Turns out Oregon State was a pretty good team last season, 17-14. Beat Arizona State. Then the next week, 42-25. Beat Washington State. And then they had their loss against Utah. This was a game where many thought USC was eliminated from college football playoff contention after this loss. And usually that's how it is. You take a loss, especially in the regular season, you're probably out of college football playoff contention. But that wasn't the case for USC. They took a 1-point loss to Utah on the road. But this team was all the way up until the very end. You go to the Pac-12 championship, you're taking on Utah. If this team could have beaten Utah there, full confidence they would have been in to the college football playoff, but it just did not happen that way. But, I mean, down the stretch, this team, after that Utah loss, they did have a couple of close games against teams that are pretty terrible. They beat Arizona by 8. They beat Cal by 6. And the defense just was not good in either of those games. Allowed 37 to Arizona, allowed 35 to Cal. I mean, they beat Colorado then the next week 55-17, but they beat UCLA 48-45, allowed 45 points there, allowed 27 to Notre Dame. So the defense, I mean, it just was not going to happen for this team last season just because the defense was just that bad. I mean, the defense was pretty similar to how it was in 2021. I mean, the 2021 defense was terrible. The offense was dramatically improved in 2022. I mean, the offense was elite last season. It was just the defense, once again, that was terrible. I mean, you look at the Pac-12 championship game, took a loss there 47-24. I mean, good luck winning a game when you're allowing 47 points, especially in a big game like that. And in the Cotton Bowl against Tulane, USC was in control late, but allowed them to come back into it. Tulane got the win 46-45. An insane finish there, and in the end, a disappointing finish for USC. But I mean, if the defense can figure things out, this offense should be, and it could be even better in 2023. It's just the defense. If this defense can improve, I mean, watch out, because USC could definitely be a big-time contender. But looking forward to 2023 now, your roster preview heading into the season. So Caleb Williams is coming back, star quarterback, Heisman winner from this past season. That's going to be a huge storyline of the season for USC. I mean, Caleb Williams, he was incredible last year, 4,500 yards. 42 touchdowns or 5 interceptions, a 67% completion rate. Incredible season for him, and he has not disappointed one bit. And the backfield, you are losing Travis Dye, the Oregon transfer running back who was injured for a part of the season, but he still put up over 1,000 yards, 9 touchdowns. Austin Jones is coming back, so I'm really not too concerned about the backfield. Austin Jones put up nearly 1,000 yards himself and 6 touchdowns. Caleb Williams himself rushed for nearly 400 yards and 10 touchdowns. Backfield looks great. The receiving core, you do lose Jordan Addison, who put up over 900 yards on the season, 8 touchdowns. But there is a lot of really good depth in the receiving core. So Taj Washington's coming back. Mario Williams is coming back. Same with Brendan Rice. So you got your 2nd, 3rd, and 4th wideouts all coming back for 2023. The offensive line does lose 4. That is a concern for me, but you do bring in a couple players from the transfer portal. And defensively, this team returns most everybody. You lose 2 on the D-line and 1 in the secondary. So Defensively looks pretty good, which is obviously, that's a big thing for USC, is getting the defense better. I mean, if you look at the defense from 2021, it was pretty similar to 2022. I mean, that 4-8 2021 team in USC kind of showed defensively in 2022. Just got to get the defense figured out. But this is not a team to sleep on as we look forward to 2023. I think this team has got all the potential to be a true national contender in 2023. Wouldn't be surprised one bit if this team was in the playoff and even maybe competing for a national championship. I mean, this is the Pac-12's best team, I think, in a while. I mean, USC has got tremendous potential, and it's just a matter of winning those big games as well. I mean, this team's got the talent to do it, especially if they can figure it out defensively. Yeah, this is a team that very much could be very dangerous. But looking forward to your transfer portal and recruiting now as we look forward to 2023. So Marshawn Lloyd is coming in, running back from South Carolina. That only adds more depth to an already deep backfield, which is going to be great. Kyle Ford, you do lose him, receiver off to UCLA, but he didn't really have a significant impact on this team. Dorian Singer, though, keep an eye on him. He's coming in from Arizona. Looks like he's already listed as a wide receiver 1 on the depth chart, so keep an eye on him. He could have an immediate impact. Ethan White, Michael Tarkin, and Jarrett Kingston are all coming in for the offensive line. You bring in Anthony Lucas, defensive lineman from Texas A&M. Jack Sullivan's coming in, defensive lineman from Purdue. So, I mean, the transfer portal has been great for this team defensively. I mean, Lincoln Riley really added a ton of talent offensively last offseason. This time around, he's adding a lot of talent defensively, which is exactly what he needs to do. And you can see you got Keon Bars also coming in from Arizona, defensive lineman. You do lose Kobe Pepe, but really didn't have a significant impact. Raylan Goforth, he is off to Washington, linebacker. You bring in Mason Cobb and Jamil Muhammad from different schools. You lose to Asivi Nomura off to Fresno State. Defensive back Christian Rowland is coming in from Arizona. So you got multiple key players coming in from Arizona, but you do lose Britton Allen, who is currently in transfer portal. So recruiting-wise, this team is also looking great, 8th in the country, top team in the Pac-12. You got 4 5-stars coming in and 9 4-stars. This team is stacked, and I mean, Lincoln Riley is having an incredible impact already on this team. It's just incredible what he's done. I mean, just a couple of years ago, this team was 4-8, bottom team in the Pac-12, and suddenly within a couple of years, this team is looking like a true national contender. I mean, that's the difference that Lincoln Riley has made on this program, and it's pretty incredible to see. And I've got this team at a 9 out of 10 on the future forecast meter, saying that I think this team has got a bright future. Keep an eye on USC as we go into the future. But that said, let's look at the schedule now as we look forward to 2023. So you got San Jose State in week 0, and this is kind of a weird schedule in that USC is working basically a week ahead of everybody else. You start out the season in week 0, you end it in week 12 instead of week 13 against UCLA on November 18th. So looking at your first 4 games, yeah, I'm expecting 4-0. You should cruise through these first 4 games. If you don't, I might be a little bit concerned about whether or not this team is going to be a true national contender. But first 4 games, all very winnable. San Jose State, you beat them by a good 4 or 5 touchdowns. Nevada, easy win. Stanford, easy win. They're probably going to be the worst team in the conference. And then Arizona State on the road, just because it's a road game, I consider putting it in yellow, but I do think you win that game by 3 or 4 touchdowns. So you're 4-0 heading to your second month of action. Colorado on the road, which, I mean, Colorado's received so much hype with Deion Sanders and everything. And, I mean, they're very much an intriguing team as we look forward to 2023. I'm looking forward to seeing how they do, but I just don't know that Colorado's going to be that good still, and I think USC still stomps them by a good 3 or 4 touchdowns. And then you got Arizona after that, easy win. Now you're 6-0 heading into the Notre Dame matchup. I mean, I think 6-0 it should be a guarantee for USC if you're going to be a big national contender. In the second half of the season, I mentioned once again, this is really where we're going to learn about this team. And you got Notre Dame on the road, a huge game. I see Notre Dame being a big contender once again in 2023. Sam Hartman, an experienced quarterback who very much could be a Heisman contender. I mean, Notre Dame, it's a tough place to play as well. This one I went back and forth on, but I do think you get it done against Notre Dame, but a close, tightly contested matchup there. And then Utah, you got them at home. This is a rematch of last year's disappointing loss in the Pac-12 title game. I mean, 2 of USC's 3 losses came to Utah last season. I think you get it done against Utah here. I mean, the Utes still have got potential to be great in 2023, but I do think you get it done. So you're 8-0 heading into your final month of action. This is, I mean, at this point in the season, 8-0, you're very much ranked in, especially if you can beat Notre Dame and Utah. This team should be ranked in the top 5. Wouldn't be surprised to see them even higher, maybe top 3 or 4. But then you got Cal on the road. I think you beat them pretty easily. Now you got 3 huge games here to finish out the season. You got Washington at home, Michael Penix. That's a team to keep an eye on. I mean, the Pac-12 has still got multiple teams that could be great in 2023. It's a stacked conference at the top, and because of that, we could see a similar thing happen as we've seen in, especially last year, where you had 5 or 6 really good teams in the conference, but no one made the college football playoff because those five or six teams just ate each other alive at the top. But Washington, you get it done against them. A close win. You got them at home. You do get a huge win against them. They should be ranked pretty high. But then Oregon on the road. Bo Nix is coming back. That's a team that also should be great. I mean, this one I went back and forth on as well. But a road trip to Oregon, this could be a dangerous one here. I'm going to be picking the Ducks to win this matchup. I think USC is the more talented team, but I just think this one trips you up a bit. You got 4 straight pretty challenging games except for Cal, but that's still a road trip to Cal. And I do think your road trip to Oregon here does end up in a loss. You're going to lose to Oregon in the second to last game of the regular season, but even if you lose here, this doesn't necessarily mean you're out of college football playoff contention. You beat UCLA the next week, finish out the regular season at 11-1. This should get you into the Pac-12 title game, which you're probably going to be playing either, it could be Utah. I don't really think it's going to be Utah though. Washington or Oregon. I wouldn't be surprised one bit if it were one of those 2 teams. I mean, can't sleep on Oregon State either, but I'd probably, if I were to bet, it's probably going to be USC against either Washington or Oregon, and ideally you play Oregon so you can avenge that loss. Kind of a similar situation to last season with Utah, but USC is still very much in college football playoff contention, even if they do lose a game somewhere in this season, which I do have them projected to. But your range as we look forward to 2023, I've got your ceiling at 12-0. Obviously, 12-0 is very much within reason. I wouldn't be surprised one bit if this team went undefeated. Your floor is 9-3. That's the worst you could possibly be. I mean, I think 9-3 is still pretty unlikely, as shown on the right. That's in orange, and that's going to be your floor. That's going to be the worst you could possibly be. I got this team between 10 and 12 wins. I think 11 is probably the most likely. I do think you take a loss somewhere in here, whether that's to Notre Dame or to Oregon. Notre Dame or Oregon is probably your most likely games you're going to lose. But I also wouldn't be surprised in the case if you get 10 wins, you'd take a loss to maybe Washington or Utah. But in this case, I've got this team at 11 wins. I see USC being a big contender, but let me know your thoughts in the comments below on USC. Definitely a very interesting team and one to keep an eye on as we look forward to 2023. Appreciate you guys for watching as always. Stay tuned for more from All Sports Central. Catch you on the next one.